Hello everyone, I want to show you guys the new poleaxe. Okay, so we call this a crow's beak because of this back spike here that kind of resembles a crow's or a raven's beak. Okay, it's got a pronged hammer on the front side, and it's got this long, um, um, a four-sided, basically diamond cross section top spike. Okay, so this is extremely stiff. So this is made using the Lutheran construction style, where the top spike enters through an eye in the hammerhead, or a hole basically, and it stops on the shoulders, right? And then the legs come through the eye, and then they spread, and they sit down on top of the shaft, and basically between the thickness over here and the shoulder up here, that's what holds the hammer in place. Okay, so this has about, I think, 18 inches of langets. They are about 1/8 of an inch thick on each side, so that's basically a 1/4 inch of steel here. So everything from here to here is also a hitting surface, right? Because the steel comes all the way to the edge, and then the wood expands over here, right? So you have, you have a better grip on this. And then what I did is I continued the langets all the way down. And the purpose of this is just to give it strength, okay? Because this thing, like this, is like, it's extremely rigid. For this style over here, for this particular poleaxe, I pretty much kept it about 1/8 of a thickness on each side to make this super rigid, okay? And then on the back, it comes to this butt spike here, which is extremely rigid, and basically it marries up to the langets over here. So this is about 4 inches here, but because of the way that I've basically shaved the wood down over here, you almost have, like, you effectively have a 6-inch butt spike on this end over here. Okay, so this came in at about 7 pounds. It was like 7 pounds 1 ounce, as opposed to this one over here, which is like my other favorite one. This one came in at 5 pounds. Okay, I've done prior videos on this. So these are two completely different weapons in their usage. Okay, so this one over here, I made this to resemble the polearm that I actually fight with, which is calibrated against male armor. Okay, so if you're fighting somebody that has male armor, basically they got an open face helmet, like a helmet that only weighs about 1.5 pounds, maybe 2 pounds. You don't need like a super thick spike to stab them in the face because they got an open face. Okay, and what you can do is I can hold this from the end, and I can use maximum range, okay, to hit them, right? And then if you hit them right, like on the axe side over here, you've got these corners. If these corners can, I mean, they're not going to cut through mail, but I mean, that's going to impact pretty hard. And on this side over here, you've got the hammer. So again, if this hits against the side of a helmet, this can concuss. And then you've got the butt spike, not the end cap here, right? So I didn't make this sharp. The reason why I didn't put a sharp spike on this end is because with this I want to start off fighting maximum range, and I don't want something here that's pointy that it can basically be used against me. Okay, so having an end cap here for smashing seemed to actually make a lot more sense for the way that I designed this poleaxe here to be used. Okay, so this one came in, I think it was just below 5 pounds. It was like 4 pounds 15 ounces. Okay, so this one over here, even though it looks like a poleaxe, it looks similar to the other one. This is an entirely different weapon in its usage, because this was designed to be used against somebody that's in full plate armor, full harness. Basically they're using a helmet that has these tiny little eye slits. So for that type of a fighting against somebody that's in full plate armor, ultimately the only thing that's going to kill them is either getting this spike here or that spike on this side into one of the gaps, or like let's say the eye slits in the helmet, or the gaps in the shoulders, the groin area, or the elbow over here, right? There's going to be gaps in the elbow. That's ultimately what's going to win the fight. The hammer here can be very effective for actually striking somebody, in the helmet for the purpose of the story of disorienting them, right? So that you can basically drive one of the spikes into the gaps. Okay, so with this weapon here, this is not something that I think I would use from the end, right? This is something that I think I would fight more like this, and basically enter into close range, because like I said, ultimately I gotta drive this into an opening, and while I'm entering into that range, right, because I'm fighting another person, this is for basically for dueling. If I'm fighting another person that's also in plate armor, I'm in plate armor, getting hit on the way in by, let's say, either the hammer or the spike. I mean, again, if it hits the plate, it's probably going to glance. It's not going to be super effective. So I can risk getting in close, where ultimately we're going to end up wrestling, right, with the weapon as we're trying to drive this into an opening or into a gap or someplace that's vulnerable. Okay, so that's why this weapon here, it's a little bit heavier, right? This one weighs 7 pounds 1 ounce, and I built this, like, let's say, with this diamond cross section here, and also very thick on this section here, because I can very easily envision a situation where we're grappling, you stick this into the ground, and I'm basically using this as a lever to, push the other guy over. So I want to be able to grab this, and pull on this and push on this, and it really needs to be like really strong. So this is the reason why I reinforced this with 1/8 steel on both sides, going all the way down, right? So there's no give on this. If I'm pushing, I'm trying to push somebody over sideways like this. Okay. So yeah, so this poleaxe and that poleaxe, two totally different things that are going to be used entirely different. And as far as the construction, if you look over here, if you look at this, at the hammerhead here, right, you can see how I created the 4 prongs. A lot of times it's debated as to why the 4 prongs. Okay, so I've heard 2 schools of thought on this. One is because when it hits metal, it's gonna bite, or it's gonna hit harder, or it's not gonna slide or skip off. The other one is because I've heard that people say that it is actually non-lethal, so that might be preferable for dueling. Having worked on this and built this myself, the reason why I had to create this was basically to lighten this up. So I wanted to have a wider surface area for actually hitting, let's say, the side of a helmet, right? Because if this side here hits the side of a helmet, there's a better chance that this is going to skip off or glance. Okay, so if this hits the side of a helmet or side of or hits plate, it's going to hit flat. It has a better chance of actually impacting. So I wanted a flat surface area, but what happened is, if I had this was solid, right, this would be very heavy here. So by starting off with a thinner piece of metal and then opening it up, I'm able to increase the surface area, but I don't have more metal than I actually need there, so this can be lighter. Okay, so this is basically weight reduction, which is the same idea. Same idea here, right? The reason why I fire cut these holes here, right? I hot punched these holes over here, is because I just wanted this head to be lighter. Okay, so I believe that that's the reason why these prongs were so popular or so common in these poleaxes. It's it's a good way to increase the surface area while making this lighter. Okay, so the balance on this is actually great. It balances right about there. actual center, I think this is like 8 inches long. The true balance is right about there. So actually the middle point is right about there. So the balance point is about 4 or 5 inches up from the center of this. So it is, because of this balance, I mean, I could actually grip it here, like maybe not here, but I can put my hand near the middle here, grab this here, and I can actually swing it and recover. Okay, so that's doable. If the weight was further up, that would be a lot harder. Okay, so this is nice. So it's not exactly balanced in the middle, because like I said, the middle's right here, but it's pretty close to the middle. And the other great thing about this is it's also balanced on its y-axis, right? So it's not, the fact that there's more. I mean, you've got a thicker metal on this side is countered by a longer metal on that side. So before I mounted it, I saw that I got it basically to balance on the center over here. Okay, so this is balanced very close to its set to the middle, and it's also balanced on its y-axis, which really helps if you're swinging over to the other side here, or even if you're swinging like this. It's less prone to hitting flat, right? For turning over and hitting on this side, if it's balanced on its y-axis. Okay? So, and like I said, the other great thing about this is that it's got the spike. The top spike has this diamond cross section here. So if you stick this to somebody, and you're not going to break your blade, or even if you have to, if you grab it here and you're trying to wrestle somebody over, this is really solid, and it's not gonna bend on you. Okay. Or same thing goes here. If you're wrestling somebody and you end up grabbing this here, this is solid enough that it's not gonna give. You can actually stick that end into the ground, grab this here, and then try to leverage somebody over on the ground, because if you can get somebody on the ground, okay, you're gonna see that gaps open up. Like all of a sudden, the legs go up in the air. There's usually a lot of gaps. Once the legs go into the air, there's usually a lot of areas that are not armored, because if you've got a lot of armor between your legs, it's really hard to walk, right? You can't sit in the saddle. So there's going to be, if you get somebody on the ground, you're going to find a lot more openings to drive the spike into. And ultimately, that's for the style of fighting, which is called harness festering, right? Harness fighting. For the style of fighting that I have created this poleaxe for, the way that you win, the only way that you win, is ultimately by driving one of these two spikes into an opening. Okay. The purpose of the smashing, which is you smash with this, or you smash with this, or you smash with this area over here. The purpose of the smashing is to disorient, so that you can ultimately, get the spike into a gap in the armor. As far as this side over here, to me, this is kind of like a tiny little axe. Okay, I didn't make this a pointy spike. The reason why I didn't make it a pointy spike, right? Because if you hit the plate with the tiny pointy spike and it actually does penetrate the plate, it can actually be very hard to get it out. Okay, and now your weapon is stuck in the plate, not necessarily in the person, right? Because usually with the plates over a gambeson, and a lot of times, especially like over the chest area, there can also be like a gap or space in between the plate and the person's body. So you might actually get this stuck in the plate, but not, so that you're stuck and you can't get it out, but it actually hasn't damaged the person. So I don't want this getting stuck. So that's why I didn't make this pointy. So this is more of a tiny little axe. So this would be something that would be great, let's say, to hit somebody, if you can get it into an elbow crease over here, right? Because again, you got to be able to close your arm. So even though you might have, plate over the elbow on this side, at best you're going to have mail on the inside here, right? Or maybe not even mail, but at best you're going to have mail here. So that would be a great place to get this, to strike into that area right here in the elbow. where you can actually do some damage. And again, that will give you the opportunity to drive this spike into a gap, because ultimately that's how you're going to defeat the person that you're fighting with. So yeah, you got two different poleaxes here, but for two completely different styles of fighting. Okay, now what I would like to do, because here's the thing: every time I do one of these things, it's like I come up with an idea to make another poleaxe. So that's how, you know, I keep ending up making these poleaxes. So what I think I would like to do is I want to create a crow's beak, but I want to create it. Basically, I want to make it about this tall, and you know, this light, about 5 pounds, where I can hold it from the end and swing it, and you know, part of the way that I accomplished this, if you look at this poleaxe here, you'll see that it's tapered both on its profile and its distal, right? So a lot of the weight, the 7 pounds that's in this, is actually in this section over here, which I reinforced with much thicker wood over here. So so that's one of the things I would want to do. I think I want to make a version of this that's a little bit taller, and has, you know, basically tapers down to take more of the weight off. And what I would also do is I would actually cut the top spike. I think this is 10 inches. I would cut it down to about 6 inches. That'll take some weight off. What I would do is I think I would make the shoulder a little bit smaller, and I would also make the length over here shorter, because this is about 10 inches long over here. So I think I get the same thing here. I'd want to go with 6 inches. So here we got like basically 10 inches here to about 10 inches here. So I think I want to go 6 inches here to about 6 inches here. Same basic design, but I wanna try to get it down to about, you know, from 7 pounds, get it down to 5 pounds, so that it will have this handling characteristic, right? Where this is a very fast, nimble weapon, right? Where you can, you know, flip this around, come to the other side. So that's my next project. Yeah, that's where I'm at. This is a lot of fun. So one of the things, I was having a discussion with somebody, like, what does it take to build these things, right? What you know, how hard or how easy is it? What equipment you need? So all these poleaxes I've been pretty much banging out on these steel plates that are in my tractor here, and I got these railroad tracks here, right? So I'm banging these out with this 4-pound hammer over here, right? And I use this basically to punch the hot punch the hole in the eye of the axe, right? To run the, you know. So I started the hole with this. I actually ended up breaking it. So that's one of the good things about blacksmithing. You can make your own tools. So I ended up breaking it, and then I just made, you know, I just redid it on this side over here, and then I shaped this into a mandrel to finish up the size of the hole that I wanted. So the tools are not, they don't have to be that complicated. I've done videos with my what do you call it? The furnace, or the forge that I'm using. It's just propane forge. I think it was like $130 at Home Depot's website, and then you get another $40 for the refractory cement to put on the inside. So the equipment doesn't have to be too fancy. Part of the reason why I have this set up here, you know, is because it's easy to move this stuff and get out of the way, right? So, you know, like when I'm done, I take the forge, I just store it away indoors in a shed somewhere, so that's out of my way. The steel plates here, I just dump them on the ground. Okay, it doesn't matter if they get rusty. They are rusty. They were rusty. Once you start hammering, basically the rust kind of clears away. So this is really compact and efficient to be able to work out here. So I got 2 buckets stacked on top of each other. Basically the height here is when I put my knuckle. Basically, knuckle comes to the top of the plates here. You know, more or less. So I have the rims there to give it a little bit of height. I have 1 bucket here, and then I have the other bucket here. So essentially I have like a 500-pound handle here, between probably 600 pounds between the the 2 buckets and these plates here, because each of these plates is about 75 pounds. So, so on the equipment side, it doesn't need to be too fancy. Okay. On the skill side, you know what? There's lots of videos out there of people blacksmithing, so you can pick up lots of tips, lots of tricks. That's where I got most of my information to get me started. Okay. But the number one thing that you need, right? Number one thing that I think that you need to build these things, okay, is an insane level of stubbornness. Okay, that's what it takes to get these things done. Because essentially, you're trying to take a piece of metal and bend it to your will. Okay, and it doesn't matter how good your equipment is, and even, I mean, equipment and skill makes the job a little bit easier. But ultimately, you just got to have a lot of stubbornness to be like, okay, I want this piece of metal to take this shape, and we're gonna get there, right? No matter what it takes, because one of the things with metal is that you start bending it one way, it doesn't work. It doesn't quite go the way you want it. Well, you just bend it the other way back, right? You heat it up and you bend it the other way. If you are a naturally stubborn person, right? If you drive your wife crazy with stubbornness, blacksmithing might just be the thing for you. Okay, so yeah, drop some comments. Let me know what you guys think. I'll talk to you all soon.